Welcome to the podcast Inside SAP S/4HANA Cloud. There is no customer success without product success and project success. I'm your host Yannick Peterschmitt, and today we're celebrating a special milestone, our 6th anniversary. So, happy anniversary to us, to the team, to the entire podcast organization. Over the past 6 years, we've published more than 160 episodes, have been downloaded over 350 times, and welcome 60 customers and partners to share the insight. So for this anniversary, we will change perspective. For the first time, we're recording in video format. And of course, you can also enjoy this content in the traditional audio format, whether you tune via sap.com/podcasts, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, doesn't matter. We're thrilled to have you on this journey with us since 6 years. So we'll change perspective from a product focus too. We want to zoom out and have a look at the SAP Business Suite, the SAP vision for the Business Suite, the execution plan, and the opportunity for each and every Cloud ERP customers. For a special episode like this and the change of perspective, we have of course a very special guest today. Someone who sits at the heart of SAP's journey in business transformative solution. Manoj Swaminathan, the General Manager and Chief Product Officer for Business Suite, Finance and Spend, and a member of the extended board of SAP SE. Thanks a lot, Manoj, for your time. It's a pleasure to have you today as a special anniversary podcast.
Thank you so much, Yannick, for having me. And congratulations on 6 years. That's a long time.
It is. And with you, Manoj, we'll delve into two facets. Your own journey at SAP, because I think this is quite inspiring for many of us. And what is the relation or correlation between your journey and a journey that you would eventually recommend to a Cloud ERP customers who started with one LOB solution, but of course with the SAP Business Suite, wow, we have a much longer vision and an execution plan that you want to share with us. So let's kick it off.
Thank you so much, Yannick. So look forward to. So this is, from my perspective and in terms of my own personal journey, I would say this as somewhat of, progressing forward, right? So what do I mean by that, right? So I started out at SAP as, running the technology foundations and the architecture aspects of things, the compliance, the operations perspective from a spend management. Right? So that's how I started at SAP. Then I took over the breadth of product and engineering scope for spend management, if you were to, and in terms of really as how do we look at transforming our customers truly realizing the value of procurement and the larger aspects of spend collectively from SAP, if you were to. Then I switched on to, in terms of running our Cloud ERP as well as, from a financials perspective, as well as now with the Business Suite collectively. If you look at it in terms of, but the themes are consistent. So what do I mean by that, right? So it's always about having people first, being able to actually leverage the people to their best, deliver some of the best, most compelling product, drive the best usage and satisfaction, and then that feeds into in terms of customers staying with us and coming back for more, if you were to. So that's the same philosophy in terms of this where we started small with, if you were to, from a spend perspective. Now we are approaching this with the Cloud ERP as well as collectively for your Business Suite. So if you are a Cloud ERP customer, so that's one journey. But if you're not collectively using the breadth of SAP today, and if you're starting small, in somewhere in terms of, what I always recommend is have clarity towards this is what value you want to realize. So how could we actually help you in terms of you realizing that value so that you are gradually being able to support and get the needed set of, solutions from SAP so that you can actually realize the value from an end-to-end perspective and gradually expand the footprint as well.
Yeah, okay. I like, let's have this simple analogy with, building the puzzle, right? You add pieces and you can go in any directions. Right? It doesn't matter if you start from the upper left corner or lower right corners. At the end, you have a nice puzzle. I like to think this nice puzzle at the end is the realization of the SAP Business Suite. Assuming I started in, let's say, 4 pieces of a big puzzle that is called, finance and spend. Where would you recommend to go next? Is it like, as you said, okay, what is the value, or is it a mix of value and product availability because you have responsibility for the product too? What would be the recommendation?
I think it's important to internalize what suite is when we talk about suite, right? I think business suite for us is, it's a culmination of many things coming together, right? So at the heart or the foundation of it is what we call as applications, right? So this starts with our Cloud ERP, but it also includes all the lines of businesses. So that means you have the spend, you have human capital management, you have customer experience, and supply chain management aspects from an end-to-end perspective. So as a customer, you can start anywhere, but you can actually realize the applications from an end-to-end perspective that's integrated with harmonized experience right out of the box. What that feeds into is an ability for us to be able to get consistent data. And we've also, with Business Data Cloud, we have now created a harmonized structure for that, all of these applications data, and a consistent representation of that realized in one place. So that's Business Data Cloud, which feeds as a foundation for our AI. With the AI foundation, that's SAP Business AI now, with this harmonized data, without losing the business context and the semantics across all the applications, we can now give you not just end-to-end analytics from a visibility perspective, we can give you intelligence, insights with meaningful recommendations that you can act in the respective applications end-to-end, right? And that feeds much better data to the transaction systems and the cycle continues. So that is what we are referring to as this app data AI flywheel in terms of as how we are bringing this collective experience to our customers to do what? To have customers realize value. The value could be in terms of them saying, I want to grow, I want to see certain percentage of the growth, or I want to actually increase my revenue stream in a certain ways, right? So these translates to a set of activities. So you first gain the insights as where you are, have the right recommendations with our intelligence to say where you need to head to, and the system's helping you to be able to realize that value in the shortest possible time. So that's our goal in terms of this is what it is. So you could, as a customer, start with Cloud ERP or financials if you were to, and a set of spend management. But for you to be able to actually look at in terms of as how do you actually enable your people to be more successful? You could actually have success factors integrated so you can actually do the whole hire to retire, as well as how do you actually have your workforce planning done, whether this is for your supply chain operations or for your retail operations, you can actually go bring all of these things together to life. That's a way as how these things comes to life together.
Okay. Sounds great in theory. And you're spending a lot of time with customers. And we know that they're operating in a very disruptive world, disruption in the supply chain, global wars, pressure, to meet sustainability goals, and. Right? So the reality of a customer is quite complex, right? And we're talking about, getting more intelligent, and we talk about AI, etc. But how does that really connect to a customer reality or customers' reality that are really operating in a complex and challenging environment today?
Very rightfully said, Yannick, and really good question as well. So I think if you think about it, right, every one of what you said is real. And it's real in terms of as what our customers are facing. I like to bucket them as uncertainties, right? So that is what our customers are going through. Could be geopolitical set of things. If you look at the set of things that's introduced from a North America perspective around tariffs, in terms of that's certainly top of mind for every customer. But it translates to us as what customers are looking for from us is what I call as agility. The need for us to be able to actually have them get instant set of solutions for them to be able to adapt to some of these things in the fastest possible way. So how do we enable them? And that's the true set of things in terms of is how the expectations with our solutions is how we could actually go meet the customer. So let's take one example, right? So for this thing, if you take one example, very simplistically said, right? So tariffs top of mind for every customer, right? So as you're thinking about as how do you actually go manage, cost savings in the spirit of everything that you're seeing from a tariffs perspective. As you think about sourcing for a supplier, can we give you recommendations to say, hey, if you source this supplier for these sets of things that you would like to procure, you probably will have downstream a much more costlier experience with regards to because of tariffs. And hence we recommend you for you to be able to avoid from your sourcing a different supplier because this would be the most cost effective for what you're trying to go do. For that value realization as cost savings, how could we actually take you through that journey? That's what we're trying to connect. And that is exactly as how we are trying to connect so that customers can really bring these things. So it's real. The problem is real. The uncertainties are real in terms of is what it is.
Exactly.
What we are enabling is how can we enable the customer to be truly agile to be able to get them to get the support from SAP.
And for that, let's talk a little bit about AI, artificial intelligence. A lot of customers will tell you, Manoj, I like the vision and the Agentic AIs, I get it. But first, please get the bread and butter application done. I think there's a misunderstanding, and maybe sometimes they think there's a contradiction. Okay, let's first run apps, and then we bring Agentic AI. I think this is probably something that needs to be explained. Do you want to tell us a bit more about, maybe it's AI because of apps in the end, AI, instead of apps to help the customers, maybe focused on key things versus running transactions and focusing on operational stuff versus really focusing on what matters in the end for them. That is really critical for the business and not, running operations. What's your take on that?
Very nice, Yannick. I think, this is certainly top of mind in terms of is what it is. And I think depending on who you are as a player in the industry, the narrative is different. So what do I mean by that, right? So if you are an AI provider like OpenAI, and in this mix, I think, the narrative is very different as is how they see the world, right? But we've been in this business for more than 5 decades. We've been actually helping customers realize value, transform their business, with SAP. And, the way as is how we see this is very, very different in the age of AI. So going back to what I talked about in Suite, the whole app data AI flywheel effect, if you were to, apps are the foundation. So if you don't have the applications, the underlying set of things about the need for business logic, the need for you to be able to actually run through, what helps you to be able to run the business as a foundation would be lost, right? So the apps are fundamental for us to be able to actually start looking at, which generates the data. And you're able to put that data to use with the level of intelligence tools that gives you a set of intelligence insights and recommendations that you're able to act with these applications to realize a differentiated value than what you could. So you can't actually have this AI out of nowhere without the applications generating the data that feeds into this intelligence, if you will. So that's the thing in a way, is how it is. I strongly believe there is no AI in the age of AI without applications and the data, and hence the applications are the foundations. So it's AI with applications, and there is no AI without, and in that context, if you were to, and applications is to stay. The experiences, the way as is how these applications interact might be very different as we think about, but it is the foundation for everything that what we are trying to do.
Okay. Manoj, with the podcast, we're addressing 3 to 4K of followers and the product guys like you and me. So would you mind drilling down from, the concept and the methods to, let's say, your top 3 agentic AIs or area where you think AI really makes the business smarter, automates, etc.?
Really good question. I think, it's important that we explain the philosophy of our agents in terms of how we are approaching, right? So from SAP's standpoint, we don't want to actually provide a proliferation of agents to any organization. We want to make sure that we actually provide agents that are really augmenting every persona within the organization. Say if you look at from a finance perspective, so you could be a financials planner, or you could be a finance controller, or you could be a treasury manager or an accounts receivable manager. And if you look at it in the lens of this, right, we want to actually provide AI assistance to every persona. And these assistants are nothing but a set of agents really augmenting every individual in the organizations for them to be able to do more with less, be more effective, be much better informed for them to be able to be more successful in their role. So that's our philosophy, right? So in that spirit, let's take one example, right?
Please.
If you look at from a finance controller standpoint, Their role is for them to be able to make sure that everything happens from an operational finance perspective that they write, and they're able to actually get all the information on time for them to be able to close, provide the meaningful set of reports that are compliant on time. If you look at these sets of things, right, as is what every finance controller goes through towards the end of the period, they actually have to look at coordinating the collective set of organizations across multitude of these legal entities brought together. They have to make sure that all the accruals are recorded before they can actually start the close process. And they have to orchestrate the close for every legal entity and every organization so that they can actually complete them on time to do the reporting in the correct way and in a compliant way. So that's where our accruals agent and the whole finance close agent really comes into play as an AI assistance to finance controller. So they no more have to spend manual efforts to actually make sure that the accruals are generated. The agents will do that for you. And it can actually orchestrate the whole close process, completely automated, with every step of the way, providing the controller with the visibility, with the explainability as how the agent has done the actions if you were to. Okay. Same holds good for a finance planner, same holds good for a sourcing manager if you were to. That's how we're approaching this in differentiating value.
Okay. Thanks. Very tangible example. I think it really tells the different roles we address with our solution, that we allow them really to focus on the critical things that really matters, exception handling, and not really doing the daily job that you can automate. And I like this quote from Johnny Ive when he was the chief design officer from Apple, when he said, technology is at its best when it disappears. And I think that's a little bit the journey. It feels a bit like that. And back to the journey. So you said you're from Seattle, now you're in Waldorf. Let's go back to Las Vegas, a couple days back. Key announcement. Would you mind summarizing the key announcements from your organization targeting the Cloud ERP customers, the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition customers that we are addressing with the podcast?
It's actually beautiful, and we actually did some of the best of bringing our applications together for the first time in terms of, and this is the very much an application-focused event.
Yeah.
So that's SAP Connect for us in terms of. We started out with in terms of really explaining how we are transforming with Suite, with the end of best of breed and really a role that what Suite really has to be in play in terms of, and that's our Business Suite, and how Business Suite becomes a foundation for all of the intelligence that what we are trying to offer, and how we see the intelligence really realizing in every aspect as is what it is. That's how we started with our keynote, starting with embedded AI, the agents, the AI assistants that I talked about, all the way towards the appless experiences that what we are intending to go do. But if you distill down this to finance and spend, right, from a finance perspective, we clearly talked about integration and orchestration as the limelight of how we were thinking about the finance. So as I talked about in terms of all these agents work that what we are doing, we really showcased and launched the finance automation from a close perspective and in terms of how agents will really help controllers to be able to have a level of automation that they just simply didn't have up until now, as an example. It was really received very well from the customer's perspective. We also, when we talk about the spend, we launched the next generation of Ariba. And this is not one of those things that where we've actually sprinkled a set of AI capabilities here and there. So this is us completely reimagining the next generation of procurement on an AI native platform that's business technology platform. And providing an end-to-end intelligent procurement with the source to pay set of capabilities that what we had offered. This was the first in the series in terms of what we have actually launched as innovation in the procurement space, if you were to, in the industry. That's no parallel to anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's really another sort of the highlight from the event, if you were to. We also talked about supply chain orchestration. We also landed some of interesting capabilities with loyalty management, engagement cloud with customer experience. We launched some of the best from in terms of how we are augmenting AI capabilities to enable people with our agents in the HCM space as well. So there's some really breadth of announcements at what we made that are really best in the industry as what SAP could offer. Extremely well received by our analysts and customers last week.
Congratulations on all that. And this sounds to me definitely like a very attractive offer. And now I'd like to look at those announcements from the perspective of the customers who are not on S/4HANA yet, like our SAP ECC customers. I'd like to argue that moving from ECC to the business suite without a business transformation is just an expensive migration in the end, right? So what would be your call to actions to those customers that are maybe forced to do a business transformation, but say, okay, let's first migrate and think after about how do we transform? How would you recommend our customer to move on with that?
This is really important, and I think it's certainly top of mind for every customer who's running our ECC systems, if you were to, right? And I think, that's one of the fundamental set of things. This is what we are trying to go to. When we talk about Business Suite, we're actually talking about Business Suite to actually go meet our customers as wherever they are, right? So that means we actually have the pathway for the customers. And I think, if a solution that makes sense from the private cloud, as is what we currently have, and that's a great means in terms of how we could actually have them on board with the RISE set of capabilities that we could actually support an existing customer from that perspective. Or if you are a net new customer in terms of reimagining ERP, as this is how you would want to actually go do that, we have the whole grow path, and in terms of this is what we are trying to go do. But what Suite also enables them to be is we can actually have a multitude of combinations of this private cloud and the public cloud together in terms of as them can running two-to-end tier set of capabilities is a model that we support out of the box as well. What they should expect it is, at a foundation level, they'll get unified means is how they could activate an automated provisioning and a configuration capability with a much better orchestrated lifecycle management no matter where they are. So it takes away the burden that what they could have had to go through. So that's one of the fundamental set of things. We will have these applications integrated right out of the box. So it takes away the burden of them having to integrate as part of their last mile. So it gives you a much better time to value experience to start with. Even if you didn't think about anything from a value transformation perspective, you have a much better means for you to be able to realize value with all of these fundamentals in a way as how we have transformed. So you now have one consistent experience. So no matter as who you are as an end user doing any process like hire to retire, record to report, source to pay, you have a consistent experience with the suite that you didn't have to actually go manage. One consistent way is how you could extend as well. And that's what you're really getting as a foundation for everything with this. Then comes the whole value that I talked about with these agents and with the intelligence that what we are providing, something that you couldn't get otherwise. And that is something that you can look forward to in terms of and work with us, and we'll actually happy to take you through as part of us, no matter wherever you are in your journey.
Okay. I'd like to piggyback to the example of, I think you said hire to retire as part of the deliveries of the business suite. Let's say I'm an end user, right? I'm manager, I have a team, and I have to manage projects, budgets. What is my experience working with because I think it's 2602, so it's soon to come, right? It for you maybe feels like it's tomorrow.
Yes.
What is then my experience as an end user or project lead if I use then the new SAP Business Suite recruit to retire end-to-end processes? Because this is an interplay of at least two solutions, right? S4, SuccessFactors, maybe another one. How does that feel?
It's really good, and thank you for prompting me on this one, right? So because this really excites me in terms of what we are doing. So I think you're absolutely right. So this is Cloud ERP with SuccessFactors brought together as at the heart of it or at the foundation, if you were to. Well, let's start with the basics. The basics is these systems are now integrated out of the box. So that means customers don't have to actually go through as part of their last mile implementation to bring these products together. So that means information can start with one system as is where they are mastered and can be consumed and can flow seamlessly between ERP and the line of business applications. In this case, it's the human capital management solution, right? So it could be starting with the employee information and the journey of employee going through in terms of how they actually participate. You can actually experience that end to end without you having to actually change. So activation, provisioning, integration, all in one. you now have one consistent experience, whether you are in ERP or in success factors. You don't see the seams of the products anymore. You
Love
have
that.
one
Love that.
experience so that users as end users will get one experience end to end,
Wow.
right? From a user experience perspective. Third, I talked about how we are bringing data together as well. So that means you now have people intelligence that can understand just not about as this is where you are, but can actually see the whole end to end in terms of as how that individual interacts with the rest of the business. So you can actually get that collective set of experience as well, so that you are able to see. And as I talked about, these agents supporting in terms of this is what you are, can actually use this breadth of this data without losing the business context,
Okay.
can help answer any sort of things around, be it payroll, be it any sort of things from a HR operations perspective. You can actually get that experience in a more consistent way if you were to. That's the true power that what we are enabling as a part of. A side effect of this is we're also enabling the ecosystem.
Okay.
So that means our partners, who are very, very important in this mix, will get this consistent experience and can extend the applications in only one way with BTP, as opposed to them having to learn extending ERP in one way, HCM in another way, and then bringing all of these things together as part of their work. Now that is all changing as well. So even we are addressing the ecosystem challenge so that they get the same experience.
Yeah. Wow. Groundbreaking. Cannot wait to see it and touch it
Absolutely.
myself, to be honest. Okay. So that's tomorrow. If you had a crystal ball on the table, what would you see? What would you predict in terms of evolution of the Business Suite for our customers? Let's say after we delivered all you mentioned with the Suite's North Star, what's next? What's in your head?
I think the notion of how we see applications as these modules will change. I think this is very, very important, right? So I think customers would start gravitating towards value as opposed to these individual components in terms of, so they'll even start looking at, buying value as opposed to, and we would be able to actually provide them that, because now we have some of the breadth and depth of from an applications perspective that are all harmonized. The data are all consistent, and our intelligence tools are probably the best in the industry, with us bringing all of these things without silos of every one of these AI solutions is what it is that exists in the market. We have a very unique position for us to be able to offer value as a thing that what we can actually go position and work with our customers. So customers can actually ask for that and get that through SAP. And that's what is something that we would be able to unlock with the way SSR we would land the suite. And that's my crystal ball.
Okay, very cool. Thanks for that. You said the people. When we launched this podcast 6 years ago, we've been speaking many times about the cloud mindset, because the people you address, they come from non-premise mindset.
Yes.
Thousands of them come from non-premise mindset. And I would say even today, this is one of the main challenges in the projects. When a project fails, it's quite often because of the mindset that, no, I know the table, give me access to the table, I can fix it, I can change it, I know customizing. No, you need to live up to the best practice, right? But this is still a challenge today. So bringing this cloud mindset in the larger SAP Business Suite perspective, what would be your recommendations to, let's say, existing users, project leaders, looking ahead with the mindset change that is mandatory, I think, to really embrace the entire vision and get the value out of it?
It's really right. And I think, that's one of the reasons why we started out with the Clean Core conference, right? So we started out with this thing. But as you think about in terms of as how we are evolving this true public cloud SaaS application experience, if you were to, what is more important? What's more important is, as a customer, I'm always on the latest and greatest from SAP. And I don't have to go through very long, costly upgrade cycles. And I'm able to realize the value of some of these new innovations coming right out of the box from SAP without me losing business context, without me losing, without me experiencing any downtime, if you were to, right? That's the foundation. And that's what we're enabling, right? So that's what we're enabling. So you still can, and if you want to, you still have those legacy experiences where you could actually go work on this table level with the comfort that you've had. But what we are really enabling you with this extensibility is it's closed for customizations, but open for extensions. So that means you will absolutely be able to go do everything that what you could have done in the prior world without sacrificing those in the boundaries or the guardrails that we have established as how you can extend. That is update, upgrade, safe. Wouldn't you want that? Right? So that's what we're really enabling. And we're enabling it in such a way so that if you are a customer, if you are a partner, you can actually go ahead and build this in terms of what it is. And that's the way as how we are imagining. And that's what you should expect as well.
That is very good. I really like the sentence. It's closed for customization, but open for extensions.
Yes.
This field we could go for hours, but I know you have a meeting after this one. So it's time for the Fast Five. I hope you up for this game.
Absolutely.
I'll try to ask you very quick questions. And of course, I'm expecting from you very short answers too. Okay, let's do it. One word to describe your experience with SAP.
Transformative.
The key trait for a successful digital transformation.
You have to have the courage to be able to actually go do this, and you need to know exactly as what you want. And that's what I would say.
Love that. If you were to invest $1 on one SAP product, what product would that be?
None. It's for the reason as what I just was talking about with the Business Suite. It's a collective thing as what we are providing, and we no more are looking at things from the perspective of one module, one product aspects of things. It's the collective suite. In terms of that's a whole thing from an SAP as what it is that customers should be expecting.
Okay, good. Based on your career, history, and learnings as a leader, what habit every leader should have, according to you?
Be consistent. Be consistent in terms of as how you approach anything. And that's what I would say.
And now the most disruptive question, your favorite sport?
Running.
Running. Love it. Love it too. Manoj, thanks again. It was a pleasure to have you today. Thanks for taking the time to celebrate our 6th anniversary.
Thank you so much, Yannick, for the opportunity, and congrats again.
Thank you. Dear audience, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. Hope you can celebrate a little bit watching maybe an episode of the 160 that you didn't have time to watch yet. And stay curious, as Manoj said. Give us your questions, the area, the topics you would like us to cover in one of the next podcasts. And stay tuned. If you like this episode, please give us a like, share with your ecosystem, and always stay inside SAP S4HANA. Bye-bye. Talk to you soon.